Hi, so my name is Peter. I'm a CEO and co-founder of ETH spin-off Latticeflow, and this is Christian.
Hello, my name is Christian and I am independent consultant with a mandate from Migros Bank in this specific use case.
Okay, and we just presented Christian the first AI assessment for critical model of for the bank. So can you tell us what is the use case about?
So the use case is about the leasing business. So Migros Bank is together with Govago in the leasing business. And Govago is a startup company that is trying to come in that market of mobility, and they have very innovative solutions, good ideas, and they came up with an idea that in the leasing business where you have a residual value, they want to determine that residual value with an AI model. The residual value, what does it mean? It is the value of the car. Car leasing, it's about leasing a car, obviously. So the asset, what is the value of the asset in 4 or 5 years? And to determine that value, that is done by an AI model.
Scope of the assessment was way beyond assessing only robustness properties about the model. So it also involved data quality, where you don't even look into the model. So there you would look at properties as defined in these guidelines, like how much of the data has incomplete records, or how representative is the data, and then you compute this per feature, for example, to see how much, if you have any gaps there. So the scope was way broader, and that's part of the reason that you cannot just specify everything. It doesn't work. You would miss many things. And that's where, if you look at these guidelines and standards, they do capture this broader picture of what you need to be checking.
The job of Latticeflow was not, look, we need this result. It is a wonderful tool, and now you make sure that that comes out. So you must be open at the beginning and say, we are open, whatever comes out, and we did not know what would come out. Actually, we were very confident because the people at Govago, they also know what they do, they also come from ETH, so they have also a very strong background, obviously. And then when the result come on the table, then we discuss what it means. So it could mean at the end of the day, if the results would have been very bad and say the model is doing whatever and it's really not clear, it could also mean that we stop using it until this is fixed. So for us, when we talk about residual value, that's a key risk within the leasing business. So to set the residual value at the right stage, if you want to say so, it's very important. When you set it too low, then you would not be competitive in the leasing market anymore. If you set it too high, then you run a risk that at the end of the leasing contract you have a loss. So you build up a risk. So therefore, with every car where we do a lease, you build up a residual value portfolio that is going bigger and bigger. So for us, it's a key risk component. So for us, really why we did that is, first of all, we want to manage risk. That's an important topic of the bank, obviously. But it's also important that in determining this residual value, we want to have a model that is auditable. So when the auditor comes and says, where does this residual value come from? How are they determined? So we cannot only say, yeah, we have these wonderful guys at Govago, which did a really good job. We also have to prove that a little bit deeper. And that's why we engaged Latticeflow to be as an independent assessment company, looking at the model, then really showing the good things, maybe the flaws, where are the limitations of the model, so that we can show it towards the auditor. Beside residual value determination and the audit, the third point would then be to build up trust. That the model can be trusted. It must also be approved in a way by the chief risk officer of the bank. So he also wants to know more about it, to understand it, and have a good feeling, sleeping well at night, that the model produces results that are reliable and robust.
Right. So So it always, you have an object that you have to mathematically model. In the case of the AI models, that's very straightforward. So they're actually very simple models with all the parameters. Then you always have to have a very explicit specification against which you can have a theorem to show that yes, it is correct with respect to this particular property. And the property can be as simple as if we add more miles to the car, the price of the car goes down, right? So this is something that you can specify and you can mathematically prove. It's a theorem that this holds. There's no question about it. But this, of course, requires that you have all these models. And for this is typically not enough. It's not enough for traditional systems because there's the problem known as specification incompleteness. So you can never fully specify what you expect from a system. That's a hard problem. So typically what it boils down to is then you always have these additional methods to look for blind spots in an unsupervised way and see where maybe the model is failing. And then that gives you ideas of what additional things you can specify and verify. So it's a hard question, but it's that's the bottom line of the answer.
So we were looking really for professional in the AI space. So we were not looking for any consulting company or so. So we were looking for Latticeflow because it's #1 AI company in 2022. So they are #1, they are the best in what they do. And what they do is really doing such assessment. So it's the focus of the company doing this assessment. It's their value proposition. That's what they do for some years already. What they also want to grow in the future, what they do very successfully. And I think another important point is the background of the people, like Petar, who is still young compared to me, but has spent his whole professional life more or less in the topic. So he knows a lot about it, but also other people in Latticeflow that were involved in assessment. They have very strong backgrounds in terms of education and also experience, and that is what was for us key. The last point maybe is then when we got in touch, it's also important when we speak together that we had the feeling that they would understand what we want from them, that they also can get a grip on the leasing business, so that at the end of the day we don't have a mathematical assessment but also a strongly business related report.